Yeah, so hi, my name is Emmanuel, and then welcome to 45 TV. And then today we have with us Eve, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so basically we're just gonna talk about not too much here, we're just gonna talk about relationship, yeah? Because I feel like there's a lot going on in people's relationship that probably your opinion and mine can actually help them out.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, before we start, can you tell us about your view about what relationship is between a man and a woman? Yeah.
I first of all, I want to say I love that you specified the roles
Okay.
before I proceed, because then I would have to be very liberal with that perspective if you didn't emphasize the type
Okay.
of relationship we're discussing. What is my overall perspective? I think that it is still a percentage of our society who tries to who conforms obviously in that type of norm. However, I think it's being quickly the actual genuine roles of a male in that relationship, or an actual genuine role of a woman in that relationship, is being diluted over time, and then we're creating our new norm from what primitively what we're supposed to be born with.
Yeah.
And I think that's being diluted because of a lot of cross-culture mixtures, a lot of agenda where we always have to watch what we say,
Yeah.
whoever's around us. And it quickly diminishes over time because we want to be a society that's so conforming of each other rather than sticking with our own limit, like with our own foundation and our own beliefs.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Because I also feel like most of the times we all come from different backgrounds and
Yeah.
ethnicities, right? And most of the times I also feel like what you might probably have gone through back home between what you see with your mom and your dad might not be the same as what you see outside.
I think there's also a generation to consider, right? Mostly parents would have a different perspective of relationship, and nowadays I feel like we also have our own version of relationships, just because of the age gap and where we fit in society as our upbringing that shaped relationships.
Okay.
So I do think that those are very different categories because they're very different stages in life to even compare to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then would you probably say it's good of parents to actually talk to us, like those of us coming up, yeah? Is it good for them to actually educate us more about relationships back home?
No.
It's not.
No.
Why is that?
Okay, because a lot of the times, parents, especially immigrant parents, education is one perspective, implementation is another. And sometimes some parents are more stern than others,
Yeah.
where they say this is part of culture, therefore you have to continuously repeat these same patterns within your relationship, right?
Okay.
So that's implementation. So some parents will, let's say when they talk about it, it's with the intent of implementing that same, I would say, some same pattern in relationships.
Yeah.
And there's a suggestion where it's like, I think you should, figure it out with your spouse. Maybe you guys should go out to dinner, whatever advice. I say no because in general, I can't predict what people's intentions are. So I just say no completely.
Okay.
But if people know the intention going in, then absolutely, because they know what they're doing. A lot of people sometimes they don't even know that it's an initiation of demands as opposed to an advice. And I think a lot of older generation mistake that.
Yeah.
And they think I'm just giving them advice. It's like, no, your tonality changes everything. The way you feel, the way you present the information, because we're much more sensitive to everything else than they are because they didn't care about those little things.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. And then I think there was a time in my life, I actually met a friend of mine, and then he actually came to me to give him an advice on what was actually happening in his relationship, yeah? So I actually asked him what was the issue that he's kind of facing at the moment with his girlfriend at the time, because basically with what he wanted me to understand was that he has actually invested a lot in terms of communication, time, care, and
Yeah.
protection into that particular relationship, but he feels like he's not getting that in return. So when that happens, what would you probably say would be the best way to probably communicate with one partner, either the man or the woman?
That means it's wrong expectations. So if he feels like he's not getting a reciprocated kind of attention in return, it means she might not be speaking the language that he understands.
Okay.
So there's different love languages that everybody creates, right?
That's true.
Have you heard of the book Love Language?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so everyone has a different love language. His could be action, right? I know my partner, the way he shows his love is by the time I wake up, there's already coffee and hot water and lemon.
And you're enjoying it.
And the dog's already walked.
Okay.
I don't need to get up quickly to walk the dog because his love language is it's about action. Right? Sometimes he might not be someone who's going to talk to me the way I want to be spoken to through my emotions or what I'm thinking. Yeah. But then I understand that that's not his love language. Okay. And I can't force that. If it's not within his nature to articulate himself, to calm down a situation or remediate a situation, I have to focus on the ones that he's done, which are the acts of service, because that's the way he shows love. And I think most of the time we just don't understand each other's languages.
That's true.
It doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean that she's not showing it. There could be a chance that she's not showing it, but there could be a chance that she is, and he's not looking in the right place.
Okay, that's true. So going forward, currently there's this trend going on all over on social media, where people actually bump into each other and then they'll be asked that, okay, so fine, just like I meet you down the road and I'm asking you, so how much would you probably bare minimum would you expect your partner to have before you probably want to get entangled with them in terms of relationship or a long time vibe? Like you want to build something that leads down to marriage. Yeah. But usually what I get to see is that men are not being asked that same question. Like, what do you women get to bring on the table? You get it? So
you're saying, why is it that people are not asking women what we bring to the table?
No, yes, exactly. Yeah, we are usually being asked what we get to do for you guys.
Bring for women.
Yeah. So what now I want to know, or what the audience would probably want to know, is that what do you women also bring on the table?
Again, this goes back to two ways, right? One is intention. Some people might ask that question to be like, yeah, I want to know what women bring to the table, like just to instigate an actual fuel to the fire to make community like comment or anything like that to increase engagement, which again goes back to intention. And there's another one where it's like, I'm honestly like genuinely curious. I honestly think some men just can't even think certain things. So to me, I'd like to give it a benefit of the doubt. So if there's that genuine question, what do women bring to the table? Very basic, simple things. I would go with our physical body can endure certain things that men can't, and there's labor if that is to create the next generation for the men and the women, right? I could talk about it in primitive ways. I could talk about it in more specific ways if I knew the person, the women in general. But I'm not one to say why aren't have a complete comment to that question until I know, is it an actual intention of trying to round up the crowd and get women and men against each other? To me, that's not a great way to get past what's the point of discussion? You're just creating conflict for no reason, right? So now if you're doing this for a point of discussion, for genuine education, because we can't assume that everyone has the same perspective of education 100%, I'd be more than willing to break it down to ABCs and demonstrate what that looks like. But and I'm sure other women can.
That might be you, but I don't feel like most women has the patience to actually do just what you said.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It depends, right? Because and it's not just women. It could be another man. It could be, let's say, a man with a woman, and he's so deeply in love and captivated by her, and an interviewer asks the woman that, and the man standing, a man can easily say, yo, why are you talking to my woman like that?
Yeah, that's true.
Women are not the only emotional creatures in every variable. It could be the man as well.
That's true. All right, so what do you think will be the ideal three things that you probably tell a fellow, let's say your brother, he comes to you like, oh, hi sis, I got this girl I'm really into, but I don't know how to approach her. What's the best way? What's the best route? You will probably tell your brother to go about to get the attention of that lady.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, I heard this analogy and it's quite beautiful. If it's about the bus analogy. if you see the bus and you're trying to catch it, you have to run as fast as you can. And if you miss it, you know it's not your bus because you tried.
Okay.
You tried. You sprinted and you know it's not it, and you know you'll catch the next one. But if you never sprint towards the bus and you miss it, you'll never know if it was meant for you or not.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. Just go for it.
Okay.
You'll never know. The worst case is, you find something else that's better than what was in front of you to begin with.
That's true. That's really true. I mean, that's very deep. I mean, because most of us nowadays, we all bottle up with issues like from our past relationships and all that. You get it? So moving forward, trying to enter into another relationship becomes a problem.
To me, I just want to comment on that. We're all bottled up in our own relationships and our own issues. We have to realize that nobody cares.
That's true.
We're just, I need my issues taken care of. I want me. And it's like, that's never been the case. That's not what evolved human to begin with. It's like me. It's always been communal service. It's always been communal attention. It's always been reciprocated attention. It's always been what do you need? How can I help you? It's always been like that.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be communicating as humans, but all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my gosh, me. Like I'm carrying so much in this relationship. And that's why when people ask, what do you bring into this relationship? Yeah. Oh, well, I've got a full sack of this. I'm a Santa Claus of that one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So I feel everyone is in their feelings. I feel like if people are trying to meet another person, it's not about you.
Yeah.
You're meeting the other person. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
So if you're scared to meet the other person, that means you don't deserve the other person because you don't care to meet that person. You are so engulfed by your idea of who you are, of what you're gonna look like. If you walk past the gym, tap that girl on the shoulder, you're so engulfed at the idea of how people are gonna perceive you.
Yeah.
100% you don't deserve her or him.
Okay. And would you say it's advisable to be selfish in a relationship just to protect your emotions and your feelings?
In a relationship?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be selfish in a relationship. In a relationship, you have to understand your roles. You have to understand your roles to begin with.
Okay, so not to cut you off, I actually say this because most people are like, I need to protect me going into the relationship. You get it? So before I get to be 100% sure that she's the one or he's the one, I need to be careful in some of the things I go about in that relationship. That leads to the person becoming selfish.
Like if they're doing stuff for themselves, like.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is like, supposedly we are together, and then based on some of the dramas or some of the issues that I went through in my past relationship, you might not be fully aware of it.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
So some of the nice gestures you might probably bring up, it might trigger me to think that it's a trap. She's trying to get me to fall in love with her.
That's crazy.
You get it?
Whoa. So then if that was ever like that small variable, I would be like, what do you think I am? Like, what do you think? Do you think I'm really here to waste each other's time? I would ask that question.
Okay.
Like if you feel to the extent of fear or trauma, right? It is not within my career to make you feel that way, nor does it benefit me in any way. So let's take it back a notch. Like selfishness is when I allow it to continue that way, where it's like, oh, I'm sorry, let me figure this out. No, I'm always gonna be like, what would be my motivation to make you feel that way? Let's kind of start with that.
Okay.
What would I get out of doing that? Let's simmer on that.
I mean, it makes sense, but until you actually understand the person that you are with, you might not really know what they're about or what it is they have to offer. And that's where the
conversations begin, right? The conversation could begin there. It could be like, what motivation would I have? Okay, so if you say nothing, now let's talk about what made you feel that way. Now, I might be a little biased because I studied psychology.
Okay.
So like I would probably be talking this way just regardless. But I do think that's a good way to talk. You're breaking it down to just conversations with, you're not creating a variable of emotion, but continuously focusing on the other person. just never focusing internally. Like whatever they're gonna say, I know to just like nothing. There's nothing with me here. There's something brewing here, and we just have to figure this out. And it's up to me to know if it's something that I'm tolerating or not.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you this as well. So what do you think at the moment, is kind of breaking up people's relationships? What are some of the variables you probably want to tackle? You want to probably address that. And people should be more mindful of that. And this could actually lead to the breaking up of your relationship. You get it? That's what they need to be mindful of. This is the kind of things they should do. These are the some of the things they shouldn't do if you want to have a healthy relationship that leads to marriage.
Okay, yeah. So it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because my perspective is very different when it comes to that. I don't get into a relationship unless I know I'd want to get married. Like it would be by the time I even get into a relationship, I already know it's for a marriage. Like that was something that I've committed to myself. So I was never in a position where it's like, I'm going to meet this guy. He's my roster. And I'm sure they have their rosters, and we're going to try to figure each other out, and we're going to date and then figure out which ones, like maybe date exclusively. It's kind of like, it would be whoever presents themselves in front of me. I would just say, these are what I'm looking for, and then kind of communicate that and then demonstrate that this is something serious. And I'm going to be very paying attention to every detail to make sure that this is time invested on my end. That's, that we're not about to break up. For me, it's very simple. I have my very simple criterias. Okay. And then as long as they meet those basic foundations, I know I can work it out. Okay,
because I've seen instances whereby most people would just walk straight into relationship, having to think about certain variables like, is it the right person for me, or is she the right person for me? And what does this relationship hold? They just go into the relationship thinking, wherever the relationship take us, we're just going to be there. They don't really plan that. I'm not going to go waste somebody's son's time, and that son of that person shouldn't also waste mine. They don't take certain things into consideration. They just move them, rush into relationships, and it doesn't last. That's how we have a lot of people traumatized by some of the experiences they've had with their exes and all that kind of stuff. You understand? Because most of the times I feel like there are genuinely good people out there looking for genuinely people to be with. You understand? Yes, but most people, based on what they've gone through or what might have happened to them, they don't get the opportunity, or they are not giving other people the opportunity to love them genuinely. And that's something I feel like we should be very cautious of.
100%, yeah.
We should be very cautious of it, because people are just out there doing negative stuff. Doing like so bad, treating people very poorly on the name of probably they might have been worse in previous relationships. I feel like everybody deserves a shot, and you should give everybody the benefit of the doubt, just like you said. All right. So now I want to ask you, supposedly there are two people in a relationship comes to you for an advice saying that, okay, fine. So we plan to do something. Let's say Netflix and chill. We know what it contains. Okay. So when it gets to that point, we are not able to make up our minds on what we both want to watch. You want to watch something different. I want to watch something different. Okay. So in that particular scenario, who has to compromise for the other?
I think it's just dependent. Like, I mean, dependent on the relationship, I would reflect on the day and be like, okay, like you can have it, or something like that. I would just reflect on the day, and if there wasn't enough, blue chip given to the other person, and let's say he walked the dog all day and I didn't, and he wants to watch this movie. Okay, fine. What rights do I have to want to watch a movie anyway? You walk the dog all day. You know what I mean? Like, again, I think it goes back to like knowing your partner's love language, seeing the consistency in their love language.
So that's what people usually needs to pay attention to.
I feel like they should. For me, like I work with my partner. We have a very unconventional relationship to others. Like we work with each other. We have a business empire. We have.
That's nice.
Like we actually have multiple different businesses.
The power couple, yeah.
Yeah, we work with each other side by side, like 24/7. Like we are literally like this.
And how is that like?
Oh my gosh, it's great.
So you literally advise people out there to try it. Supposedly, like you meet a guy, you meet a lady, and let's say they might have probably kickstart a business or something of the sort, and you want to support them by joining forces to build something.
I think what better couple you have than your significant other. And I think it's very important. Like if you could do it 100%, not that I'm saying that every couple should do it, but I think it's a great gift that you can gift to yourself and experience like the life that we have, to know that you're not only seeing them for the last few hours of the day or on the weekend. And when you have children, those are the same variables. It's like to be able to enjoy every phases of life with your significant other. I think it's really amazing. Like we obviously hit our own, rough patches along the way, and sometimes we like, I think we've been very good when it comes to work problems. Like we can separate it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap it up, I just want you to give those of us watching us two how do I put it, like two solid ideas, right, to follow that can make their relationship strong and healthy.
Number one, know your partner's love language and know your own love language, and just understand that perspective, that for as long as that's being given consistently, there should be nothing wrong. And at some point when it pulls back, proactively find a way to kind of communicate that in any way. And then number two, just continue to have communication. I think and I think not just communication, but for me, the biggest thing is really having faith. Because for me, our common denominator is that we're Christians. And to me, that's to have that as a foundation in my relationship. I already know it's unshakable.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much for having you. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Right, so this is 45 TV. That's what we have for you today, and then take care.